My biggest takeaway from Leadership Garden City this year was progress and what that really means. And there's two things that really have stuck with me. First thing is progress doesn't mean that it has to be a big goal that you achieve. Or progress doesn't necessarily mean success. Progress really means taking things day by day and acknowledging the little things, acknowledging self-growth or growth of your team. Progress doesn't have to be some big notion. And then the second thing is really the only way to make progress is mobilizing others. And I think that we live in a world where change is scary for people. And so by empowering the people around you and using servant leadership to engage and mobilize them, progress comes really easy.
Everybody in leadership has a voice. I mean, from the person who is just sitting quietly in the corner that comes up with the most brilliant idea when they open their mouth, to the person who speaks eloquently in the middle of the room. They love to hear themselves speak and they have great ideas. In leadership, every voice counts. And sometimes you have to pull from those voices you don't even realize are there. The unusual voices, the ones that, you being an executive, you want to just talk to the other executives. But maybe if you just say, well, what happens if this person behind the desk, the one that does the work day after day, what is their concern? What does their voice matter? It does matter, and they have a voice, and we all have voices. And that's what leadership is, just expressing yourself and being able to realize you have a voice.
Growth is a part of Leadership Garden City that I was not fully prepared for. When I first got started in this particular project, it seemed that growth was it seemed that the growth that I was expecting had to do with leadership. But what seems to have happened is personal growth. By going through the class, ultimately what has ended up happening is I've experienced personal growth in ways that I wasn't expecting. And before even graduating, the differences were noticeable among my family life, among my professional life, and among my friend group. So what I want to say to you right now is Leadership Garden City has more to do with you and your life than it has to do with just leadership.
With Leadership Garden City, I really took to heart the raise the heat. It taught me, someone who's usually pretty non-confrontational, that you can stand up for yourself, you can ask those hard questions, and really dig deeper without being confrontational. It gets me to look at things from a different point of view, and it gets those we're talking to look at things from a different point of view. And before Leadership Garden City, I would usually just avoid the conflict, but it was nice to learn that I could raise the heat without actually adding to the conflict. So these things that we pick up that we don't even know we're picking up are amazing. And I wouldn't have known that without Leadership Garden City.
I consider myself to be an emotional but caring person, and I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I do consider myself to be vulnerable. But going through Leadership Garden City, this program has struck many nerves that I didn't know existed. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm learning that leaders have to have that vulnerability because they're going to be exposed to things that they don't want to be, but that's how we're going to grow. And vulnerability, I'm learning, it's not a weakness, it's just part of life, and it's not a bad thing, and sometimes we have to embrace it.
Through Leadership of Garden City, I have learned it's not a position, it's an activity. And this activity will stretch you in ways that is way beyond my comfort zone. I've been emotional, I've been engaged. It's been a really big learning experience for me, and just getting to know people that I normally just wouldn't go out and meet and engage with. It just really is going to stretch me in ways more than I can even know in the future, and even help me in my place of employment.
What I've learned through Leadership Garden City is a lot. But the word that I've chosen, and I chose this very strategically, is adaptability. Leadership Garden City stretches you in ways that you cannot imagine, one of them being you never know what you're going to come into when you come into class. Thank you, Troy, for putting blindfolds on us this morning. My mascara is running because of that, so I blame that on you. But adaptability to me is strategically very, very important when it comes to leadership, because much like you don't know what situation you're going into, you don't necessarily know what team you're going to be getting in leadership. And so I believe it is a true leadership skill to be adaptable and being able to work with the team that you have, to change course if need be, and to do so in a pleasant manner.
In Leadership Garden City, I have learned much about leadership. One of the things that I liked was that respect is part of leadership. You learn to listen to people, and that's something a lot of times that leadership doesn't take into account. Also, appreciation is a big thing, I feel like, in leadership. Gathering information also is important, and having compassion is important. And I think all of these things are showing respect, and they're a very important part of leadership.
Okay. What I learned from the Leadership Garden City class was I learned a lot. But what stood up the most for me was being part of the mess. A lot of times, I see someone as the problem or something else being the problem, not realizing that I'm part of that mess. Depending on how I react, how I act, there's going to be a different reaction from them.
What I learned the most from Leadership Garden City was starting where they are. I always thought I could just lead by example and people would take what I was doing and go with it, and not really figuring out what they're interpreting from the situation, what their background is, what preconceived notions they have about me or my idea or my plan, and really starting to talk about where they're at in the whole process and bringing them up from there, instead of just anticipating that they are gonna rise to where I am.
What I learned in Leadership of Garden City was don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm someone who always stays in a nutshell, and I've learned asking for help is always a good thing, and it's not a bad thing. To me, I was always taught it's my weakness, so don't be afraid to raise a hand for help.
One of the most impactful things I've learned from being a part of Leadership Garden City is the difference between interpretation and observation. When you're observing someone, it's strictly factual, and you can say, I see your body language is this, I hear you saying this, I see you doing such and such, whereas interpretation is a completely different thing. Whereas you're saying, it looks like you're sad, I feel like you're angry. So being able to distinguish those two and have a conversation with someone, I feel is incredibly valuable and impactful in moving forward with people.
Probably the biggest impact on my life that Leadership 2017 has had is on self-management. I'm a very emotional, in-your-face kind of person, so to be able to drop back and listen, and to truly listen and not try to fix it, try to be active in it, but just listen, and that's a part of my management that I really needed to work on. The other part would be to be more organized and to realize that it's okay for me to ask for help. Those aren't things that I would normally do, and for me to be able to do that and know that it's okay and that success of the program is asking for those things. And part of that is just the self-management of realizing that I don't have to be the lone woman on the island doing all the work, that's what team leadership is all about. And part of that is managing self.
I think one of the things that I realized out of this class is how to intervene skillfully. I think in the past I've often waited too long and then been too frustrated and came up and blew up the situation rather than trying to find the right moment to raise the heat to the proper amount so we can actually make some progress on a situation. It's definitely a skill set I'll take with me and continue to practice and hopefully be able to implement that as I move forward through both my career and other civic engagements that we do with Garden City. I really value that, and it's an important part of the class, and they touched on it both at the training and here, and it's not the easy thing to do, to find the right moment and the right time and to intervene and to raise up the heat just the right amount for growth. So hopefully that'll be a strength in moving forward.
My name is Chelsea Gerber, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
I am Nicola Guy, a graduate of Leadership Garden City 2017.
My name is Brian Biarell, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City 2017.
I'm Laura Schneider, a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
I'm Erin Reyes, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
My name is Jackie Hawkins, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
My name is Melissa Gallegos, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
Hi, I'm Judy Stewart, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
My name is Adriana Garcia, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
I'm Caitlin Bregetzer, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City 2017.
I'm Maritza Navarrete, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
My name is Erin Novak, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
Johnetta Holmes Heverly, graduate, Leadership Garden City 2017.
Aaron Stewart, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Garden City.
One, two, three.
Where do you want me to start? Okay.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, what was that?
Well, focus.
Leadership Garden City to set up. Leadership Garden City. I did it again. Dang it. Okay.
Of Garden City. Here, Janetta.